Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing Magic Square Madness. Now, the puzzle actually came out like quite some time ago. It's like early January, and I don't know how I missed it. It came out on a Thursday, I believe, and I guess I was looking on the lookout for more difficult puzzles for the weekend at that point, so I just completely missed it. And there were tons of other puzzles that sort of caught my attention after I sort of went back looking for slightly more approachable puzzles for weekdays once again. But I'm really excited to be playing this. I absolutely adore Magic Squares and just how constrained they really are, so I'm looking forward to it. And here we can see, well, clearly a professional magician by the looks of the sort of the full set of audience that he's got behind him, casting some magic on a square. Mad, isn't it? Let's take a look at today's puzzle. So we have Magic Square Madness by Willpower, and the following set of rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. There we go. Now, here is the Magic Square Madness. A 3x3 Magic Square, has all 3 horizontal rows. So I'm just going to sort of do some coloring here to try and explain this as I go along. Has all 3 horizontal rows, so each row, all 3 vertical columns, okay, and both diagonals. That's one diagonal, that's the second diagonal, all have to sum up to 15. Now, the madness part is there are 6 magic squares in this puzzle. 5 of them are in a continuous 3x3 area, such as the one that I have highlighted here, that the solver must find. So I don't even know if this is one of the magic squares, but we're going to have to find blocks of 3x3 areas all around this puzzle that are essentially magic squares, and we have to find them. Now, the 6th magic square only contains the center cell of each of the 9 standard 3x3 Sudoku boxes. So I'm interpreting this to mean that essentially there is almost like a distributed or kind of expanded magic square across these 3 center cells, where this is a magic square just at a distance. So when you're trying to do these calculations of they add up to 15, in the column it would be essentially these 3 cells that have to add up to 15. What else do we have? We have killer cages, so numbers in cages sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage, and all numbers in cages are part of the continuous magic squares. So these 2 cells, for example, that you can see highlighted or ring-fenced by the dashed line, must sum up to 7. If that was a 2, this would have to be a 5. Sum up to 7, 13, 11, and 9. Now, the last thing that I'm sort of interpreting is, essentially, all of the 2 cells in each of these cages have to be part of a magic square. So in a way, the magic square, for example, up there is either here or here. I'm kind of assuming that you can't go off the grid and have a magic square that looks something ridiculous like this, where some of it is down here and some of it is up there. That doesn't seem right, because it does say 5 of them are in a continuous 3x3 areas, and clearly that purple one that I've just drawn where it's stretching across isn't continuous. Right, if you want to join in this madness, if you want to see what this magician is casting, link will be in the description down below for you to play along as usual. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So I am going to... I am going to start with this expanded magic square. I'm going to highlight these for the moment purple. That's one of the squares. We need to find 5 more that are contiguous. Now, I know that in the center of every magic square, it has to be a 5. And I am going to quickly prove this, but there's a much more detailed tutorial on the channel that I'll make sure I link up here. You should take a look at that, as I think it will be critical for the puzzle if you've not seen it before. But the way to think about the proof for that 5 is essentially we've got 1, 2, 3, as in this. What I'm going to do is actually I'm going to restart the clock and I'm going to do it so that I'm not having to stretch across it. Let's just imagine that is a magic square. Right, the way to almost think about it is these 3 cells, which I'm going to color blue, these 3 cells, which I'm going to color yellow, including this cell, this diagonal, which I'm not going to color purple, I'm going to color, let's say, orange, and these 3 cells, which I'm going to color green. So essentially what I have here is blue, yellow, orange, and green. Each of them add up to 15. Because there's 4 of them, that means they must add up to 60. Now, in all of these that I've just done, we've clearly repeated the center digit 4 times. You've got 4 colors here between the blue, yellow, orange, and green. So the way to almost sort of prove that this is a 5 is essentially if you take away that 60, the 4 times 15, take away 45, which is essentially all of these, every square has to have the digits 1 through to 9. You sum them all up, that is 45. And by taking away 45, in essence, I can remove at least 1 color from all of these. However, I get to keep still 3 of them in the middle, because I had 4, if you remember, of the middle cell, but now by removing all of these cells once, I now have 3 in the middle. You take away 60 and 45, you're left with 15, so we need 3 lots of the center digit to add up to 15, and therefore it can only be a 5. Now, the next step in here is to think around what are the cells around it, and you can actually split this into 2 types, odds and even digits. You can see that anything around the 5 has to add up to 10, so essentially you can have like a 1, 9, a 2, 8, a 3, 7, a 4, 6. That's one way of making sure that everything around the 5, all the diagonals, all the columns, all the rows, add up to 15. But really the constraint is actually around the things that do not include the 5. How do I make up 15 in here? And the only way to sort of think about it is using odds and evens, the easiest way, certainly. So if you think around having all even digits, that can't add up to 15. That would add up to an even number, which 15 is not. All odd digits would work, but then 2 odds and an even doesn't. 2 evens and an odd would. So if you think about this crisscross pattern for a second, essentially these 2 digits have to be even. This has to be odd, so that I have 2 evens and an odd to add up to an odd number. And then all of these have to be even. So you end up with this pattern in every single magic square where the odds are 1, 3, 7, and 9 are around the edges, 5 in the middle, and then 2, 4, 6, 8 are on the corners. Right, that was a long explanation to basically say we know what these cells look like in that there is a 5 in here, and I'm going to go back to my expanded magic square of purple, and I know that the corners are even. They're from 2, 4, 6, and 8. And I know that the edges are from 1, 3, 7, and 9. Now, what we probably need to do now is look for the other 4 magic squares. I'm so tempted to say that the center one has to be 1. And I think I can prove that. So there are 4 5s that cannot be part of a magic square. If you try and make a magic square with the 5 in the top row, you're not going to be able to, because the 5 would be in the middle, and suddenly we're trying to make a magic square where it's no longer contiguous, with the example that I showed you earlier, where essentially it's sort of cutting across to the other side. So whatever the 5 is in row 1, whatever the 5 is in row 9, whatever the 5 is in column 9, wherever the 5 is in column 1, none of these can be part of the magic squares. So that's 4 5s that I have removed. It also means that all of the remaining 5s, wherever they may be, have to be part of magic squares, including the center one, because I'm still looking for 5 more magic squares. So there is essentially one of these 5 magic squares, contiguous magic squares in the middle. This is another 1 3 7 9. This is 2 4 6 8. And now we can start to probably make a bit of progress. Remember, these are part of the magic squares. And I'm so tempted to say this is one of them. And I think it has to be. Because the alternative would be that this is the magic square, and clearly the center is not a 5. So I think if I draw the following, I'm going to go with green, yellow, orange, and red. These are the remaining 5 contiguous magic squares. So now we've got a total of 6. Purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. And the center of all of these has to be 5. And that probably is enough for us to start solving this. We can obviously repeat the same trick with the crosses. All of these have to be from 1, 3, 7, and 9. All of these corners have to be from 2, 4, 6, and 8. Wow. I probably shouldn't have done that, but we can, I'm sure, tidy up. For example, a 9 can never be part of an 7 cage, neither can the 7. What can go with 1 and 3? It's got to be 4 and 6. If this is 1 or 3, this is going to be 7 or 9 to make sure that adds up to 15. So I can do certainly a bit of tidying up. 4 and 6 with the 5 can only be with another 4, 6. That's a 4, 6 pair removed. So this is from 2 and 8. I probably suspect this is now solvable at this point. If you think around the low digits that we have in here, so if this is an 8, these have to be 7. That's the easier way to do it. 7 plus something that adds up to 15. That's got to be an 8. That's got to be a 2. Is that forcing items now? The 2 and the 7 only add up to 9, and that could be a 6, so that does work. Yeah, so it could be 2, 7, 6 or 2, 9, 4. Okay, not enough for me to sort of solve it just yet. I can see that these are not from 2. The 2 is in here, therefore the 2 is not there. I probably can think about the 11. 11 cannot have a 1. It can't have a 6 because the 5 is not available. So this is again 4 or 6. 4 or 6. That means this is again 4 or 6. We did say there are no 2s, so this is not a 2 nor 4, 6. How did I break it so quickly? What am I doing wrong? Let's just do the easier part. Let me undo all of this mess that I've just created. Just do simple stuff with the magic, not with the magic squares, just with what we have in here. Can't have a 1 and an 11 cage. 9 would go with the 2, 7 would go with the 4, and 3 would go with the 8. 6 is not an option. Anyway, 11 must add up to with a 4 to get to 15. That gets me to a 6 in here. This is not a 4, therefore this is not a 7. This is the 2 or 8. Therefore there's no 4 or 6 in here. Can I actually solve from here? I'm pretty sure this is not a 2 because there are no 2s. There is a 2 in here. That is the 2. That is the 8. That is a 1. That is a 9. That is a 3. That is a 7. Just to make sure that adds up to 11. And obviously that helps me up here. Does that 2, that 6 does help. This is a 4. This is now a 9 to add up to 15. That gives me a 6, a 1, 4 and 8 is 12. We need a 3 between them, and then a 7 to make sure that adds up to 15. This is now no longer 3, 7. These are no longer 1, 9. Do I know more than that? No, I don't know anything about the evens, surprisingly. Not a problem. Let's just use the same thing here. We've got 13, that's got to be a 2, therefore that's got to be an 8. There is no 2 or 8 in this 13. Can't have 1 or 3. So it's either 7 or 6 or 9 and 4. That works. This is again back to 4, 6. We've got a 4 looking at it. That is a 6. That is the 4. That has to be the 7 to add up to 13. No, the 9 to add up to 13. That's a 1. These are not 1 or 9. This is 3, 7. In the box, we've already got 2 and 6. So 2 and 6 can go from this purple. 4 and 8 can go from this purple. 2 and 4 can go from this one. And we actually haven't done anything with that square. Let's just do that. That's 9. That's got to be 6 to add up to 15. That's got to be 4 to add diagonally to 15. We've got 4 and 6 looking at this cell. That's the 8. That's the 2. 2 goes with a 7 to make the 9. That's a 3. These are not, 3, 7. These are from 1, 9. That's not 6 or 8. And that's almost all the magic squares done. 3, looking at this 3, 7, that's a 7, that's a 3. And that is, like I said, almost all the magic squares done. Can I tidy this up at all? I don't know why I don't seem to be able to. I mean, I could just do a bit of Sudoku. So the 8, 3, 4 is what I'm missing in here. 8s line up, that's 8. That's the 4 because of this 4. That's the 3. No 8s and 4s in here. This is 2, 6. That adds up to 8. Needs a 7 to add up to 15. That's the 3. We can continue. This is 6, 7, 2 in here. Do I have anything to help me? Yeah, the 2s. That's the 2. That 6 is now here. That's a 7. These are not from 2 or 6. I mean, we knew that already when we kind of cleaned that up here. We need 2, 4, and 9. The 4 is helping me immediately. This 2 can only be here. That's a 9. That gives me the order. That's 1. That's 9. Essentially, they're all the same magic square. If you look at them, they're all 6, 7, 2, 6, 7, 2, 1, 5, 9, 8, 3, 4, 6, 7, 2, 1, 5, 9, 8, 3, 4. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same again. Because that's 9, we need to add up to 6. Only option will be 2 and 4. So 2, 4, 6, and 8. Yeah, we've got a 1. We're repeating the same style of magic square. That's a 1. Have I resolved these just yet? Seemingly not. I need 6, 1, and 8. These 3 in here. That 6 gives me the order immediately. 6. The 8. The 1. And that is definitely all of the magic squares done. And all of boxes 2, 4, 6, and 8 done. So I'm really tempted to think around, how is it I haven't placed these yet? And I don't think I'm kind of missing anything. What I'm thinking now is maybe the 5s. They're very restricted. Yeah, so where does 5 go in box 7? Well, it's in none of these cells. It's not in here. In fact, in this column, in column 3, that's the only place for a 5. There is a digit that I can just place. It is a 7. Next 5 has got to be in one of these 2 cells. Less interesting. Let's think about this row instead. Yeah, we should just focus on completing rows and columns that are nearly done. We need a 5 in here. It can't be there. That's the 5. And then to complete this, it's a 9. We need a 5 in here. That's got to be the 5. To complete this, it's a 3. Let me guess, 5 and 1. 5, yeah. 1. And can we keep this going? 2, 4, and 6. What are we missing? We're missing a 1, which can't be in here because of this 1. That's 2, 4, or 6. 2 and 6 tells me that's a 4. That's a 2. That's a 6. That will help me with the rest of this magic square. All done. And just a bit of Sudoku to just finish it all up. That's the 3. That's the 7. I need 1 digit in here. That is an 8. I need a 1, which can only be in here, and then a 9 to finish. I need a 6, I'm going to say. I need a 3 and 7. 7 is here. That's the 3. To complete this row, I need a 2. And if I've not made any mistakes, 9 for the finish. Phenomenal puzzle, Willpower. Absolutely phenomenal puzzle. Just amazing how it's just so incredible when it comes to magic squares, how constrained they are, and therefore how much you can actually deduce by just being told that there is 5 magic squares in the puzzle. I know there's the 6th one, so technically you knew that there is another one just looking like that. And that these cages are part of the magic squares, and then with those handful of rules, you can just put it all together. Phenomenal puzzle once again, Willpower. Thank you so much for it. Hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video, and see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.